woman walks into a car dealership in California. She's ready to buy. She has everything that she needs. She's scoped out the vehicle and she knows exactly which one it is. And the sales manager tells her that in order to sell her the vehicle, she needs to go on a date with them and she needs to agree to it. She says no. He then proceeded to add $10,000 to the price tag. She ended up recording it. 5.2 million views on TikTok. Honda has suspended this employee, and every single comment on every single platform is filled with people saying exactly the same thing. This is why I don't trust car dealerships. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. Not to pile on the dealership and not to make the person any more villainous than they already are, but because of what happened on that showroom floor tells us something important about how dealerships work and what it's going to take to actually get some change to happen. My name's Andrew Sardone. I spent the past 19 years training dealership teams, and I want to be very clear about something before we move further forward here. What the manager did was wrong. It was harassment, it was an abuse of power, and has no place in the dealership anywhere. But here's the part that nobody's talking about. The manager felt completely safe doing it. And this is the real problem. This is not an isolated incident. When a story like this goes viral, we want to treat it like an anomaly. One bad actor, one bad store, and then we simply just move on from the topic. But the research, when we dig on in, tells us a very different story. A landmark study from Harvard Law found that women consistently pay more at dealerships than men. And here's a more recent study from the University of Wisconsin. They found that women pay an average of 1% more on dealer markups for auto loans and up to 39% more in some cases. Straight up telling the customer you have absolutely terrible credit and giving them the maximum amount because you feel that they're defenseless. This is a terrible behavior that we can have to stop. Now, Edmunds really wanted to put this to the test. So what Edmunds did is they got male and female testers and they threw them out there in Los Angeles. The male and female testers went to multiple dealerships, and the female found out that she had to wait an average of 10 minutes to even be acknowledged when walking through the front door. And that just wasn't one dealership. The key word here is averaged. When she finally did get the help, she was offered less information and worse pricing than her male counterpart, who was at the desk next to her most of the time. This isn't one rogue manager in Montclair, California. This is a pattern that has existed in this industry for decades, and people running dealerships need to hear that clearly. If you're a GM or a dealer principal or an owner and you're watching this, do you know what's actually happening on your showroom floor today? Can you tell me if I asked? Not the sales numbers, not closing ratios. Do you know how managers treat women on your showroom floor right now? If a woman walks in, can you predict what that behavior is going to be? Do you know if they'll be spoken to with respect as every single other customer walking through the front door? Do you know what's being said when you're not in the room? Most GMs have absolutely no idea because they're so hyper-focused on the numbers instead of the culture. And it's not because that they don't care, it's because the system up until now that has showed them how to do this. The manager in California, he wasn't hiding in the back office. He was on the showroom floor in front of the customer where her friends were standing right there. And he still felt safe enough to do what he did. That level of comfort does not come from nowhere. It comes from a culture where behavior on the floor goes completely unexamined, where the only metrics that get tracked are things like gross and closing ratios, not how a customer is being treated and not whether every person that walks in is being treated with dignity. And here's the hard truth that every single owner and dealer principal needs to hear. If something like this happened in your store today, would you know about it before TikTok? Let's talk what it's costing you. Let's put some numbers on this and put some gravity on it. Women influencers make the purchasing decisions in roughly 65% of the car industry in this country. They are your customer. They're the ones making the decisions. According to every study on this topic, they are walking in the stores already guarded, already expecting to be talked down to, already prepared to be given worse information than their male counterparts, and higher pricing. How's that for stress? That is the baseline, and that is what your team is starting with before they say a single word. Now imagine what happens when that behavior confirms every fear that they've had. Cortisol spikes, anxiety goes to the roof, motivations drop, they leave your store. They tell people, they post videos, and they leave reviews. And the next woman who is going to walk in your door has now just decided that she's going to go somewhere else instead. This isn't a PR problem. It's a straight up revenue problem for your dealership once they start to earn a bad reputation. So what does the right answer look like? Well, I can tell you, it's not another harassment training seminar that you do once a year to simply check a box. It's not going to be that poster that you put up on your wall for saying that hey, we're anti-sexual harassment. It's fixing the culture. And culture is not what you say, it's what you tolerate. It's what gets measured. It's what gets addressed. It's what gets ignored. The dealerships that have an incredible culture are the ones that have leadership that's actually paying attention to what's going on the showroom floor every single day. They're not overly obsessing about the numbers. They're obsessing about the behavior. How are my customers being treated? Is every person that walks through the front door being treated with simple respect? Is my team building trust instead of applying pressure to get their way? Those questions do not answer themselves. They need visibility. And most dealerships don't have that kind of visibility. They have the gut feelings, they have monthly numbers, and they have the customer complaint on a survey to yell and scream about. And by the time that survey comes around, that TikTok post goes live, whatever it might be, the damage is already done. And all you're doing is trying to correct the past. If you're a sales consultant, I want to say something directly to you. You inherited an industry with a reputation problem that you didn't create. Customers walk in already guarded, already skeptical, already prepared for the worst. And most of the time, that has nothing to do with you personally or your personality or anything else you have going on. But it does become your problem the moment that you step up to greet that customer. The way you handle that dynamic, the respect that you bring to every interaction, the way that you treat customers regardless of their age, their background, so on and so forth, that is the thing that either reinforces that reputation or starts to change it. You have more power to shift this than any corporate statement or industry ever will. And if you're a manager or GM hearing this, your job is not just to hit those numbers. Your job is to build a culture where every person who walks in the store feels safe enough to buy. And that starts with actually knowing what's happening on your showroom floor. Not after a TikTok video absolutely decimates your good reputation. Before it. What happened in that Honda dealership is an extreme example of something that exists on a spectrum in dealerships across the country. Most of it never goes viral. Most of it never gets recorded. Most of it actually quietly costs you customers trust, reputation, year after year after year. And that's exactly why we built AutoKnerd, not because we wanted to build another training platform, but because we watched this happen over and over and over again inside dealerships across the country and realized that the problem was never actually a lack of training. It's a lack of visibility. AutoKnerd is an AI-powered behavioral system built specifically for dealerships. Your consultants run live simulations with an AI that scores their behavior in real time. Things like empathy, trust building, listening, how they handle pressure, and how they treat a person who walks through that door. And your managers see all of it. Every session, every score, every consultant on your team like a baseball card. Not after the complaint. Not after the TikTok video. You get transparency right now, today. Because here's what I figured out over the past 2 decades servicing dealerships. The managers at the Honda dealership did not wake up that morning and decide to become a viral story. This individual made a series of small decisions over a long period of time in an environment where nobody was paying attention to their dumb behavior. AutoKnerd pays attention to these things. It shows you the behaviors that are quietly costing you customers, CSI, and reputation before they become something that you cannot walk back. And it gives your managers the tools to fix it every single week without pulling them off the showroom floor and bringing in an outside trainer. If you want to see what this looks like inside your store, just head on over to AutoKnerd.com and book a call with me directly. We'll walk through your specific situation, what you can see right now and what you cannot, and what it would take to make sure that what happened in that Honda dealership never happens at yours. So again, AutoKnerd.com, AutoKnerd.com. Book a call with us today. This is Andrew Sardone. Take care of your customers. All of them.